More than 170 million people live inside a country roughly the size of the state of Iowa. To put that in perspective, that's over half the entire population of the United States, squeezed into a space smaller than a single American state. This makes it the most densely populated large country on the entire planet. And somehow, in the middle of all that density, this same country is also home to the largest mangrove forest on Earth, patrolled by the only tigers on the planet known to actively hunt and kill humans. This is Bangladesh, a nation built almost entirely on the world's largest river delta, where three of Asia's mightiest rivers meet the sea, creating land so fertile and so fragile that it can vanish underwater in one monsoon season and reappear again the next. So what does it actually look like to live in one of the most crowded, most resilient countries on the face of the earth? This is the story of life in Bangladesh. Daily life in Bangladesh begins with water. Rivers, canals, and flooded rice paddies shaping nearly every part of how people move, work, and live here, in a country crisscrossed by hundreds of rivers and waterways, carrying silt down from the Himalayas to the Bay of Bengal. In Dhaka, the capital and one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, mornings begin with an overwhelming wave of sound and motion. Rickshaws by the thousands weaving through impossibly narrow streets, their bells ringing in constant rhythm, vendors calling out over the noise, the scent of frying paratha and simmering dal drifting from roadside stalls before the sun has fully risen. In rural villages across the delta, the day begins differently, shaped instead by the tide and the season. Farmers wade into flooded paddies to tend rice, the crop that has fed this land for thousands of years. Women working alongside men in fields that shimmer silver and green under the early morning light. Water buffalo pulling wooden plows through soft, silty soil. Along the countless rivers, life moves by boat as much as by road. Small wooden vessels, often brightly painted, serve as the primary way many rural communities travel, trade, and transport goods. Entire families sometimes living aboard houseboats on the water for weeks at a time during fishing seasons. Children walk to school along narrow paths between rice paddies, often past ponds used for both bathing and fish farming. A practical, resourceful use of the abundant water that defines this landscape. School uniforms carefully kept clean, despite the mud and frequent flooding that shapes rural life here. By mid-morning, village and town markets, called bazaars, fill with vibrant activity, vendors selling fresh fish, pulled from nearby rivers, mountains of vegetables, and the vivid, colorful saris that remain everyday clothing for women across the country. Patterns and colors often reflecting regional tradition and personal style alike. There's a genuine resilience woven into daily Bangladeshi life, a culture that has learned, generation after generation, to live gracefully alongside a landscape defined as much by abundance as by unpredictability. Family and community in Bangladesh are built on deep bonds of mutual support and respect, shaped by both Bengali cultural tradition and Islamic values, since the majority of Bangladeshis practice Islam, alongside significant Hindu, Buddhist, and Christian communities living alongside one another. Extended families frequently live together or in close proximity. Elders holding genuine authority and deep respect within the household. Grandparents often playing an active, cherished role in raising grandchildren, particularly in rural areas where multiple generations may share a single family compound. Neighbors maintain real, practical closeness in Bangladeshi villages, a spirit reflected in the Bengali concept of adda, long, unhurried conversations shared over tea, often stretching for hours among friends, neighbors, and family, a genuinely cherished, central part of daily social life here, treated less as idle chatter and more as a meaningful social ritual in its own right. Community response to natural disaster, particularly flooding and cyclones, which occur with genuine regularity given Bangladesh's low-lying delta geography, reflects a deep, practical solidarity. Neighbors helping neighbors rebuild, communities pooling resources and labor to recover. A resilience born from genuine, repeated necessity rather than choice. Weddings hold enormous significance in Bangladeshi family life. Celebrations often spanning multiple days, filled with music, elaborate food, and the vivid color of traditional dress. Extended family and entire communities frequently participating in preparations and celebration alike. Storytelling and poetry hold real, everyday significance too. Bengali literary and musical tradition running deep. Families reciting verses from beloved poets. Songs passed down through generations, carrying both entertainment and genuine cultural weight within the home. Bangladeshi culture is deeply, proudly tied to the Bengali language and a rich literary and artistic heritage that predates the country's modern borders by centuries. Language itself holds extraordinary significance here. Bangladesh's very founding is tied directly to the Bengali language movement of the 1950s, when students protested and some were killed, defending the right to use Bengali rather than having another language imposed upon them. A sacrifice now honored internationally through UNESCO's International Mother Language Day, observed globally on the anniversary of that movement. Pohela Boishakh, the Bengali New Year, ranks among the most beloved celebrations in the country, streets filling with colorful processions, traditional music, and elaborate art. A joyful, deeply rooted cultural festival celebrated by Bangladeshis of every religious background alike. Rabindranath Tagore, the Bengali poet and the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, remains a towering cultural figure here. His songs, collectively known as Rabindra Sangeet, still sung in homes, schools, and celebrations across the country, his words woven deeply into Bengali cultural identity. Traditional textiles hold genuine cultural and economic significance too. The muslin cloth, once woven in this region, was so famously fine and delicate that legend holds an entire garment could pass through a wedding ring. Prized by royalty across the ancient world, a craft tradition Bangladesh continues to honor today through modern textile artistry. Rickshaw art deserves genuine mention as a distinctly Bangladeshi folk tradition. The country's ubiquitous cycle, rickshaws often hand-painted in vivid, elaborate designs depicting flowers, film stars, and scenes from daily life, a genuinely unique, widely celebrated form of accessible, everyday folk art found on the very streets people travel each day. Religious life here reflects genuine diversity and coexistence. The Muslim call to prayer, marking the rhythm of the day for the majority, while Hindu festivals like Durga Puja fill streets with elaborate, colorful celebration each autumn. Different faiths often celebrating alongside one another within the same neighborhoods and communities. Bangladesh's economy has undergone one of the most remarkable transformations of any developing nation over the past 3 decades, evolving from one of the world's poorest countries into a genuine, significant manufacturing and export power. The garment industry stands as the true engine of this transformation. Bangladesh has become one of the largest exporters of ready-made clothing on Earth, second only to China. Factories across Dhaka and surrounding areas employing millions of workers, particularly women, whose participation in this industry has meaningfully reshaped economic opportunity and household income across the country. Agriculture remains vital across much of the country. Rice farming forming the backbone of both subsistence and commercial production. Bangladesh ranking among the largest rice producers on Earth despite its relatively small landmass, a direct result of the delta's extraordinary natural fertility. Jute, once so central to the economy that Bangladesh was called the jute capital of the world, remains a significant export crop. This natural fiber used in textiles and increasingly valued again internationally as an eco-friendly alternative to synthetic materials. Fishing, particularly in the extensive river systems and the Bay of Bengal, provides both crucial protein for domestic consumption and meaningful export income. Shrimp farming in particular having grown into a significant industry along the southern coastal regions. Remittances from Bangladeshis working abroad, particularly in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, form another genuinely significant part of the national economy. Money sent home, supporting families and communities across the country in a pattern echoing similar labor migration seen in other developing nations. Despite this remarkable growth, Bangladesh continues facing real economic challenges, including the constant, genuine threat that climate change and rising sea levels pose to a nation built largely on low-lying delta land, a challenge the country's leaders and citizens alike engage with as an urgent, ongoing reality rather than a distant concern. Cost of living in Bangladesh varies considerably between Dhaka and rural areas. In the capital, rapid urbanization has driven housing costs up significantly relative to local wages. Millions of rural migrants arriving in the city each year seeking economic opportunity, particularly in the garment industry, creating genuine ongoing pressure on urban housing and infrastructure alike. In rural areas, many families supplement cash income through rice farming and fishing, providing a meaningful degree of food security even where cash income remains genuinely limited. Healthcare access has improved considerably in recent decades, though real disparities remain between urban centers and more remote rural regions. Government and international health programs having made genuine, measurable progress in areas like child health and vaccination coverage. Education is deeply valued across Bangladeshi society, literacy rates having improved dramatically over recent decades, families making real sacrifices to support children's schooling. A national priority reflected in genuine, measurable educational progress over the past generation. Utility access, including electricity, has expanded significantly in recent years, though rural areas and informal urban settlements can still experience real inconsistency, infrastructure development remaining an ongoing national priority. Most Bangladeshi families describe daily life through a lens of genuine, hard-won progress, a nation that has moved from severe poverty toward greater stability within a single generation, even as real challenges, particularly around climate vulnerability, remain an honest, ongoing part of the national conversation. Bangladeshi food centers profoundly around rice and fish, a reflection of the country's extraordinary river and delta geography. The phrase "Machhe bate Bengali," meaning roughly "fish and rice make a Bengali," capturing the deep cultural centrality of this pairing. Hilsa, a silvery river fish, holds a place of genuine national reverence. Considered by many the finest fish in all of South Asia, prepared in numerous traditional ways, its rich, distinctive flavor deeply tied to Bengali culinary identity and celebrated in poetry and song alike. Panta bata, fermented rice soaked overnight in water, traditionally eaten with fried fish, green chilies, and onion, remains a beloved, deeply traditional dish, particularly associated with the Pohila Boishakh New Year's celebration mentioned earlier. Curries built around fish, chicken, or mutton, richly spiced but distinct from neighboring regional cuisines, form the backbone of most everyday meals. Mustard oil and a specific blend of spices called panch foron, giving Bengali cooking its genuinely distinctive character. Sweets hold extraordinary cultural significance. In Bangladesh, rasgulla and sandesh, made from fresh cheese curds, representing a beloved culinary tradition. Sweet shops found in every town and neighborhood. Desserts exchanged as gifts during celebrations and important life events alike. Street food remains vibrant and essential to daily life. Vendors selling jalmuri, a spiced puffed rice snack, alongside fresh fruit and grilled corn. Affordable, flavorful food, fueling the constant motion of daily Bangladeshi life. Bangladesh's landscape is defined, above nearly everything else, by water. The Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna rivers converging here to form the largest river delta on the entire planet. A landscape in constant genuine motion, reshaped continuously by silt, tide, and monsoon flood. The Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest on Earth, spans the delta, where Bangladesh meets the Bay of Bengal, a genuinely otherworldly landscape of tangled roots and tidal channels. Home to the Royal Bengal tiger, the only tiger population on the planet known to actively hunt humans, a genuine, sobering reality for the honey collectors and fishermen who enter this forest for their livelihood, often wearing masks on the backs of their heads, a traditional precaution meant to confuse tigers who typically attack from behind. This same delta landscape performs a genuinely remarkable natural balancing act. Even as rising seas threaten to submerge low-lying coastal land, the rivers simultaneously deposit enormous quantities of fresh silt each year, in some areas actually building new land. Even as other areas are lost, a natural process. Locals have learned to work alongside for generations through resourceful land reclamation and adaptive farming. Cox's Bazar, along the southeastern coast, holds the distinction of the longest natural sea beach in the world, stretching for roughly 120 kilometers along the Bay of Bengal, a dramatic expansive coastline, drawing visitors from across the country. The Sylhet region in the northeast offers an entirely different landscape, rolling emerald tea gardens carpeting hillsides in every direction, a cooler, greener corner of the country where tea cultivation has shaped both the economy and the visual character of the land for well over a century. This water-defined landscape has shaped Bangladeshi identity as thoroughly as any single cultural tradition, a relationship with rivers, tides, and monsoon rhythm that has produced genuine resourcefulness, adaptability, and a deep, practical respect for a land that offers both extraordinary fertility and real, ongoing vulnerability in equal measure. Bangladesh's extraordinary river network shapes transportation here as much as any road system. Thousands of boats and ferries connecting communities across the delta, some routes carrying passengers by the hundreds on multi-tiered wooden and steel vessels navigating waterways that have served as highways for centuries. Dhaka is famously home to more cycle rickshaws than perhaps any city on earth. Estimates suggesting several 100,000 operate across the capital alone, their bells and colorful paintwork forming an inseparable part of the city's visual and audible identity. Rail and bus networks connect major cities and towns, often crowded well beyond capacity, a reflection of both the country's remarkable population density and the genuine demand for affordable, wide-reaching transportation infrastructure. Modern connectivity has expanded rapidly in recent years. Mobile phone and internet access reaching a genuinely large share of the population, including many rural areas, reflecting Bangladesh's broader, notable progress in digital infrastructure development over the past decade. For young Bangladeshis, growing up here means inheriting both a genuinely resilient national spirit and a rapidly modernizing, increasingly connected economy. Education has expanded significantly, literacy rates rising substantially over the past generation, universities in Dhaka and other major cities producing growing numbers of graduates across fields including engineering, medicine, and business. Many young Bangladeshis increasingly finding opportunity in the country's growing technology and service sectors. Many young people, particularly young women, have found genuine economic opportunity and independence through the garment industry, work that, despite real, ongoing challenges around labor conditions, the country continues actively addressing, has meaningfully reshaped economic possibility for millions of families. A growing number of young Bangladeshis are also becoming actively engaged in climate adaptation and environmental work, a reflection of genuine, direct awareness that their country's future is tied closely to how successfully it navigates the real challenges its low-lying geography presents. As evening settles over Bangladesh's rivers and rice paddies, boats return home, along waterways turning gold and pink in the fading light. Fishermen and traders finishing the day's work as the call to prayer drifts across towns and villages alike. Families gather for the evening meal, that essential pairing of rice and fish shared together, conversation unhurried, children finishing homework nearby, the day's heat softening into a cooler evening breeze, carrying the scent of the river. In villages, evening often means adha, continuing late into the night. Neighbors gathered over tea, conversation and laughter carrying across courtyards as stars emerge above the flat, water-laced landscape. So why do people stay in a country facing such genuine, ongoing environmental and economic challenges? They stay for a river delta that has fed and sustained their families for countless generations, for a language and literary heritage they fought, and some died, to protect. They stay for community bonds strong enough to rebuild after every flood and every storm, and strong enough to celebrate together after every harvest. And they stay for a homeland whose rivers, rice fields, and vibrant, resilient culture remain, despite everything, deeply and unmistakably beloved. This is Bangladesh, a nation built on water and built to endure.